This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Joe Bubel of Joe Bubel Coaching. Joe, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Jeff. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I love the coaching idea. The people that regularly watch the show know that education is so much of what I certainly focus on, my business partner Sean focuses on, but so much of our world has gone to that now. People are willing to pay large amounts of their resources, whether in time, money, effort, focus, on learning the answers to life. Essentially, it's not just business, it's not just money, but it's to life. It's like, if I can learn from someone like you that has been to a place I want to go to, but have yet to have gone there, and all I have to do is ask you questions and you're willing to answer them. Like, we never had access like that before. One of the first coaches for me is like Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and these types of guys. And then Tony Robbins blew it up. But before, if you had a favorite author in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, the only way you learned what was inside their head was through their books. You couldn't talk to them directly. Now those barriers have been broken right down, and we have access to the greatest information we've ever had. And for me, certainly changed my life in a dramatic way, but it seems like it's doing that across the board. So anything coaching related, I'm very excited about, but I don't know much about your business, so I don't want to make any assumptions. What is it exactly that you do, Joe? Talk about it.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is the word coach is sort of like the only word that sort of makes sense for what we do, but it doesn't really actually, I don't feel, adequately describe what it is that I do.
Okay.
So coaches and therapists, like, you talked about, giving answers, but realistically, like a coach is trained to actually not give their opinion or not give advice.
Oh, okay.
But you might be thinking of more of like an advisor or, a mentor, things like that, right? So what's interesting about me is I actually feel like I bridge both, where I will give advice. And because I do have a business background, I went to Ivy Business School in Canada. I worked in finance in the States for 6 years. I've owned my own businesses. I've invested in small businesses, angel companies. I've sat on the board of a public company. So I have the business experience, and then I've done so much personal work and sort of like inner personal development work with a coach myself, that now I feel like I can kind of bring both together. And to just briefly summarize, what I would say is, all the companies now, they're doing all of the things externally that you need to do, right? They're like either getting lean or looking into AI, or they hire the right people or do the right marketing. But what I feel is missing, or where we're going to need to go in the future, is how aligned is the company? How aligned is the founder and the people? Like, are they actually doing what they want to be doing? Because if you can sort of cut through a lot of the noise of people's default ways of moving, then the operation can actually move much more efficiently, and sort of the trajectory is like almost infinite if you get everyone in alignment.
So you're talking like top-down leadership, team, cohesiveness, culture, these types of things.
Yeah, and really, like, it's, so I would say, yes, it starts with the top, right? So like, the first person I would want to talk to and get a feel is the leader, right? And really sort of watch them and see how they're operating and ask them questions. So they're learning about themselves and the whys. I think why is a really powerful question. Why are you doing that, right? Like, why are you even doing this job? Why are you in this business, right? I'm sure these are questions you probably ask as well, right? So they really understand it. And then what I think I can help do is keep them on that priority, right? Because we often have this why, but then these things come up and we might get scared, or life gets crazy or whatever, and we get pulled in different directions. But realistically, we want to kind of stay focused on the why. And that's something that doesn't really get taught in business school or just working in a business. It's sort of like, that's more of an inner knowing that you have to work on.
It's tough because usually our why is our highest priority, which means it's our big, hairy, audacious goal.
Right.
And most people, when they start thinking about it, start to realize how scary that mountain is going to be to climb. So it's like, yeah, laundry gets in the way, paying the bills gets in the way, this problem with this client gets in the way. Meanwhile, the whole time it's like, no, this goal is really important to me. But Joe, that dragon's a hard bastard to slay. I'm just going to avoid it for a little while. There's so many books written on it. Start with Why, Simon Sinek. I mean, it's a phenomenal book, but the one thing, you know, a lot of the mentors that I talk about, but also listen to mainly, the amount of effort that they put into spreading the message of saying no to everything that doesn't move you towards your goals.
Exactly.
Alex Hormozy, Tom Bilyeu, a lot of these guys that are out there with big brands, Russell Brunson, they constantly talked about it. And when you see it, the speed at which they move, it's like in a year's time, they're doing 10 years of stuff. And so how is that possible? They must work all day, every day. And I imagine they do work long hours. But some of the things that also come to my mind is it's probably more fulfilling. They probably enjoy it more. Progressing gives you that internal satisfaction, that internal contentment when you set a goal and you actually progress through it day to day. It's also very satisfying to just pick something and achieve it, that commitment to yourself, become more trusting in yourself. So yeah, the message seems to be out there. It's humans that seem to be the issue when it comes to it. I know for myself, for sure. Yeah, I got some big goals. We're moving towards them, but I'm probably bouncing around like a bit of a pinball as I get, rather than just straight line. And I often ask myself, because that message has been delivered to me so many times, what would my life actually look like if I said no to all of the insignificant periphery and I just focused on that one path? There's kind of that dream up there. I don't know, a bit scared to say no to all of these things and just focus on that, but can't know until you try.
So that's really cool, because you said humans are the issue. And what's interesting is what I feel like we're getting into now in this age of AI is that humans are also the solution. And what I mean by that is people who have done this can help others now. So I've spent like the greater part of the last 4 to 10, well, I mean, 4 years intensely and 10 years in total on my own personal development. And frankly, up until about 6 months ago, aside from doing some coaching and some real estate, I thought that I was just going to do inner work. I'm like, I'm just focusing on myself. But it honestly feels like life and other circumstances are sort of calling for more. And as I've started stepping into this idea of working with others and sort of bringing what I know to them, it feels like this is actually a real need. And so what I feel like I do differently is I don't want to just be a coach where we talk once a week and like I check in on you and I get your sort of like biased way of how the week went, and maybe we do a little work and then we come back next week. I actually feel like I will be most successful sort of within an organization, not necessarily as an employee, but as like a biased, impartial sort of like mentor, guide, advisor. So like I'm here for everyone, but I'm here to help see where are there knots that we need to unwind, where are there roadblocks, and that's where the human stuff gets in the way. And that's where I don't think AI is going to solve that, right? Like we need to have more conversations and we need to keep people in alignment. And I think if you have someone who's done it and have someone who's there checking on you and with you, like you have to want to do it, then you can narrow back into that why and what the priorities are. But it is a process, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, internal work, I think, is the work of the human, is the work of the self-realized human, if that's even a thing. I don't know if we ever become.
I think it's a thing.
Self-realized. Like, do you think we actually get there one day, or it's just a never-ending, the finish line constantly being pushed?
Oh, I think you can. Yeah, I think it's infinite. However, I do feel like they're sort of like a jumping off points, multiple jumping off points, where the alignment to your own true self becomes more evident and then all of the noise starts to sort of like go away, right? Because like I think of humans in terms of parts. So, and this is actually sort of proven, and it's part of my coaching methodologies. Like there's a part of Joe that doesn't want to go out coaching. He would rather stay home and just, do his own inner work. But then there's another part of Joe that feels like we need to go move forward. And it's when those are not in harmony, that's where we have these issues. And that's where we're going back and forth. Oh, I'm going to start a workout program. Oh no, now I got to focus on this. Or like, so we actually have to work with all of our parts. And when they become aligned, it's like incredible what sort of momentum can happen from there.
Yeah. I've done some work on the last 4 years at an addiction facility called Cornerstone Recovery as a counselor. And man, when you talk about getting people that are completely out of alignment, I was one of those people a little over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And all of our protocols, techniques, practices within that organization are about internally. Sometimes you have to cut off your external toxicity, whatever, the family, whatever. Sometimes that's a part of it, but most of those things are what's focused on to avoid that going into that cave. Your own like Lord of the Rings story internally, essentially. Very interesting place to go. Very revealing about ourselves too, building up self-awareness and self-value in a big way. So I'm a big believer.
You can tell that you've done some of that work, right? Just the way that you're talking and you're listening and what the product you're offering, like you can tell that you're more aligned than sort of the average person that's just running around, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's like, so you're able to help people, right? And if you think of like a self-realized person, they've just done that to like, a very high extent. They're like a clear vessel from which to be like, oh, that's what things look like when you're fully aligned as yourself. Like, wow.
Yeah. And just this idea of going through your, metaphorical journey. I like using that Lord of the Rings analogy. Like you go through your own version of it and then you come out a much more valuable version of yourself with so much to share with other people.
Yeah.
And it seems like from my experience going through, people will call it healing, recovery, just making myself a better version of myself because I was very unsatisfied. Eventually I got to the stage where it's like, now to continue to make myself a better version of myself, I need to start bringing in people and helping them in the way that I can. I can't just focus on the individual only, but now the next stage to focus on the individual is to start giving to other people and help them become more realized. Same was at the addiction clinic. It's just a beautiful thing. I never used to think that way. I used to get caught up in that selfishness that if I want to do great things, I don't focus on Joe at all. I just focus on me. And now I've learned that it really is a dance between the two. I can't live a world without other people. And the best way I can show up for them is making myself better and hopefully passing on some of that wisdom to them.
Well, that's awesome. I even get some shivers as you say that. So there's some resonance to what you're saying. And there's like this modern philosopher named Ken Wilber that's created this like incredible like model of how consciousness evolves both individually and collectively. And one of the things that he would say we wake up to is showing up. So there's like waking up, that's more of like the spiritual, but there's like, you got to clean up, like you got to grow up. So we're talking about, this is like a growing up, like a fully developed human eventually starts looking outside of themselves and saying like, okay, like what else needs to happen here, right? And so it's whether you want to talk about hero's journey or even Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as you go up, you start to eventually something switches to be like, okay, there's more than just me here. What can I get back? And so what I am especially interested in working with are people or organizations who in some way or another, I don't want to put a box around it, are trying to do good for the world. Now that doesn't mean they're like some green tech company, like it's fine. Maybe they're just a company that really values employees who have a balanced life and they're willing to pay for that. Like that's a good thing. That spreads out, right? So like whatever it is, I don't know who's going to be attracted to my energy, but it's people who sort of, they want something a little better for more than just themselves. I'm not here to just help one guy make more money, essentially.
Yeah, it's most of these things behind me are either business or philosophy, what you're talking about. Yeah. And once I caught that bug, I haven't been able to leave it. Didn't really want to. It just provided a better life. And I find myself more connected with those people and less connected with the old version of me and the person person attracted. What I find absolutely fascinating about these types of conversations, though, and all of the people that come on here really, but I love the origin story. And especially for someone who's talking like you're talking, there's not too many people that come on here that talk in a similar way. And these are the conversations I love to have. I was getting into this world before getting into the addiction side of things, but that really sped up the process big time because we had major problems to solve and almost all of them were internal. So like, how did you get to this place, Joe, from Ivy League business school to starting businesses to being angel investor to what a lot of people would describe as some type of healing, recovery, awakening journey that you went on yourself to come out the other end to be like, I now need to use this to make the world a better place?
Yeah, it's definitely been a process. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a part of, I could very simply explain it, but I think you're asking for a little more depth. I mean, what I would say is like, it feels like I grew up with a certain need that I must achieve in order to be lovable or happy, right? And that was modeled from the people that I grew up with. And so therefore I became an incredible baseball player until that didn't work. So then I became incredibly focused on academics, and that did work. I got the best job I could get out of like one of the top business schools in Canada. I worked in the US for 6 years, like high finance, but I'm working like 80 plus hours a week. You know, yeah, some of it's glamorous and I'm making a lot of money for a 25 to 28-year-old, but I was literally like soul crushed. Like my back was sore. I was not in good shape. I was somewhat depressed, bouncing from LA to San Francisco, New York over 6 years. Like I didn't know where I was. So I finally walked away. Like I literally just quit. And like, so I would say for anyone listening, like sometimes, at least for me, it's taken like a major step. Like there's been a major thing that I didn't even see coming. I thought I was going to do this work until maybe 35 and then retire and chill, but I didn't make it. So willingness to leave, which was like almost a willingness to listen to myself, like something's not right for me in this. And I don't know what the answer is going to be, but it's not this. That led into, I would say like there was a rebound of like laziness / travel / interest. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Just got fortunate. I bought a CrossFit gym in 2012 and like that catapulted the physical transformation. And so I think for a lot of people, you'll see that's the first thing they change is, okay, I'm getting physically fit. But when I kind of peaked at that, because I was already like mid 30s, like it wasn't going to go anywhere. Like, it's like, okay, this is only getting me so far. You start listening to podcasts, Tim Ferriss, et cetera, and you'd be like, oh, there's a mental, physical, and spiritual and emotional component here. Like I'm lacking in these other areas. So started diving into that. And for me, then work was more so just to pay the bills so I could do this stuff. So I went like deep into like personal development, even spiritual. I had a spiritual teacher for 4 years as well. But that ended this year as well. So like I knew there, like it just felt like something was saying you need to change here, right? And maybe it's because I've been a father for the last couple of years. I wasn't before. Like there's just a lot of things that change where life's changing, and all of a sudden, can you tune in and feel what's needed for yourself? And so this time around, it was, okay, I need to stop focusing on this, like waking up, and I need to work on those other, like growing up, cleaning up, showing up. And as I've been stepping into that, I've had to face that original fear of failure and that sort of like need for achievement by doing what actually makes me feel good. Like I enjoy helping people and talking about like how to make things better and how to keep people more aligned and content. So in a weird way, I'm facing fears, but it's actually to do what I would like to do.
And isn't that often the case? When we really like find out what it is we want to do, we're slapped in the face with a fear almost immediately.
Yeah. It's not this, what I've learned, and like you read these books and you hear this wisdom, like, but until you've actually done it, you can only sort of conceptually understand it.
Yeah.
So now to know that there is fear there and still move forward with that there is a total different thing than ignoring the fear or letting the fear dictate behavior. Now it's like, oh, there's fear here. Well, we're still going to move ahead. And that's the sort of stuff that like real leaders, like that's how they lead. Like, it's not like they're absent of fear. Like that would potentially there'd be something wrong with them if that was the case, right? Or they'd be ignoring things. You want leaders who have been through enough, where they've built up enough sort of like inner courage and inner will that they can still make decisions like in light of that, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, they're building up that moat around them in a way, you know, just exposure theory. Like, just the more I'm exposed to this thing, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but I just want to provide a little context to the exposure, because
Yeah.
some people hear me talk about that. I don't believe just being exposed to something makes you better at it. The why that you talked about it, when you have the why behind something that you're
Yeah.
going through, then you can really start fortifying yourself to it. But I have all my rules for life tattooed on my forearm so that they're constant reminders, because the Post-it notes were just not lining up. And number 5 is fear is your green light. So it seems like, at least from my experience, when I start hearing people speak like you, it does seem like it's this natural evolution to a person that wants more from life for themselves and for other people. And what is really, what's the word I'm looking for? Not satisfying, but for lack of a better word, less confusing to me, is life has so many options. You often don't even know which path to pick. But when I hear people speaking your way, and you said Tim Ferriss, and you have Jordan Petersons, and all of these people out there that seem to be a little bit more evolved than the average person, they often have all done similar things, which makes it easier to choose. It's like, if you want to evolve, you got to work on your emotions. You got to work on your spirituality, some type of higher why in many cases. You have to get fit. You have to take care of your brain, sleep well. It's nice to know that you don't have to choose from a million different options to start seeing the results from your evolution. But when we have people on the show, or other people we talk out to in life, and I find so many things in common with them, and it's like, hey, it reinforces what I did. It's like, hey, it's working out for them. I did something similar, so that's a great reinforcement. But evolving as a human seems to be very difficult for most people. It certainly has been challenging for me, and it is not done. I don't think it ever will be. Becoming a better version of yourself is not easy. So if you had 1,000 different options to choose from, I think it would make it that much harder. So it's great to hear. And I hope people really picked up on that by hearing you speak, to just start working on some of these few options that you have, one at a time. I usually recommend, rather than tackling so many things. But it's nice to hear that you've gone through similar things to other mentors of mine, that you guys have picked a similar path and gotten similar results, which is great to hear.
Well, and what I would say to that, though, is I don't want you kind of go through stages, or I have anyways, where it's like, okay, I gobbled up that information for years, right? And I would get addicted to it. Like, I'm listening to
me too.
podcasts at 2x, and whereas right now where I'm at, family and time, like being present with my wife and my son, and having time for myself, and trying to do this business stuff and all the other things, like, I have to give myself a lot more grace. And that's where like real discipline comes in. It's like, I'm not going to try to be disciplined and wake myself up at 4 a.m. because that's what Jocko Willink does. I actually am going to be disciplined enough to know that I can't do everything right now, and that's okay. Right. And so I don't even really listen to podcasts anymore. Like, at some point you have to be willing to walk the walk and not like keep learning more or doing more. And what's interesting is it feels as though through the spiritual, emotional, mental work is like, I'm becoming more accepting of who I am. So I don't have to become something else. I actually, if anything, I want to become more of who I am. And so it's like a stripping down. It's like a reducing. It's not necessarily additive, but it is a paradox, because you need to sort of like add this stuff first to then start to strip things away. But what I'm sort of saying this, so if any listeners are out there, because like, we live in an incredibly difficult society as far as like time and pressure is concerned, right? Like, time, money, jobs, like relationships, divorce rates, like you name it. Like, this was not like living in community and it takes a village to raise a child, and everyone's relatively happy and mental health is good. Like, this is a really hard time. So like, if anyone's listening and they're thinking like, oh, I don't know if I need a coach or something, like, a coach isn't someone who's trying to like yank you up to some like person you heard on a podcast. No, it's like trying to like help you in whatever situation you're in. And inside of you is probably something that could be more fulfilling.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. Very interesting, in a simplified way so people can understand it. Let's talk about, so we started off with the education piece. That's a big part of this, is not just people to find out about other businesses, but really start to make connections with people, find information that they're like, that's what I needed to hear today for X, Y, and Z reasons. And there's a lot of information out there in general. Some of it is good. A lot of it is not so good. So we try to dispel some of the myths or misconceptions of the industry, of the practice, of the idea we're talking about. So you have that word coaching in your business. And I know you said that doesn't really encapsulate everything that you do, but it is in that industry, it seems to be, to some way, coach is a part of it. What are some misconceptions that we can kind of myth bust for the audience that hear about it? Because even though you've revealed that it's different than just traditional coaching, people are going to pair that word with what they see online, and coaches are coming at us a million at a time with courses online, like for everything. So in some cases, there are people that are going to be listening to this that are oversaturated in that word coach, and they need some guidance through the weeds. Anything you can help dispel?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because this is twofold. This is the listener checking in on what resonates with them and what they need. So like that's what I would say firstly is like whoever's listening or thinking about coaches, like don't just look at coaches and then like ask yourself like what do I feel I need, or what type of person do I think could help me? Because a lot of people, what they do, like most coaching, I would say so far, is much more like, here's my system, do my system and you'll be successful, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
That's like level, there's sort of like a fourth evolution of coaching now that's getting past that, but that's sort of like the third evolution of coaching. And I think we're going to be moving through that. Like I think, yes, if you own a business that's like, simple and there's this many steps to do it, like, yeah, you could probably hire a coach to help you do that. But we're living in a world that's so competitive now that like you definitely need to have your organization kind of organized, if you will. But the next real step is like your own inner sort of fire and your inner game. And so I would say like for someone who's interested in someone like me, they essentially want someone who like has actually walked the walk. Like I've worked in business, I've like invested in businesses at a very high level under very stressful situations, and I've also done the inner work. So people might think of me more as like a partner to have alongside, right? And like here's an example I like to use, like Scotty Scheffler. This is the best golfer in the world right now. Like
Certainly is.
He's number one for like 4 years almost, and people are comparing him to Tiger Woods. He had 0 wins until he changed his caddy. He actually doesn't have a sports psychologist. He has a coach for his swing, and he has his caddy. But what the heck changed with just changing a caddy, right? And so what I think is super interesting is most business people are kind of going about it alone. Like they might have a team, they might have like different employees under them, but who do they really get to like check in on or bounce things off of or whatever? Like even back in the day, like a captain of a ship had a navigator. The navigator doesn't drive the ship, doesn't tell him what to do, but he still helps sort of sense things out. So I view myself as more of that, like I'm here, I understand, if you want, we can talk, and I'll try to keep you in line as well. I'm not afraid to say, hey, like, let's come back over here right now. So that's where, like, I think it depends on what you want. If you want a coach to just keep you in line and keep you motivated, like that's one thing. That's not going to be me. If you want someone who's going to like kind of engage in a process with you to really like transform yourself and your company from the inside out, then you hire someone that resonates with you. So that would be like going and looking at different coaches and feeling into like, do I feel like they would work with me? And then you just got to eventually just take the lead.
And so I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. Is for clarity for me, and if it's clarity for me, it's probably clarity for somebody else as well.
Please.
So you're saying I would be a part of the organization. So you're like right in the beehive, observing You're objective. You're there to help make it a better environment in whatever way you can, it seems. If you're involved, like if you were to come onto my team, let's say, you're observing everything that's going on. You're seeing how I'm leading, how my partner's leading. You're seeing all of our teammates, how we interact with clients, our systems, all that kind of stuff. Are you there like on the day to day? Like, can you work with multiple clients at the same time and be in multiple beehives at the same time? How does that work? Because it seems like you are much more immersed into the whole, snow globe of this person's environment, business's environment.
Yeah. I'm sort of just getting going into this version of my coaching. And the way that I view it is I think I'm either going to end up working with like some fund that owns a bunch of businesses, and then we will allocate me like based on sort of like what's needed. But specifically, like I would say I should be in there at the beginning for some period of time, and maybe coming back different weeks or whatever. So it doesn't have to necessarily be local, but I also am going to keep my life in balance too. So I'm willing to go away for a little bit, but not forever, because then I'm not going to be aligned and I'm not going to be of service. And eventually though, I'm going to have enough of a feel where I can pop in calls and Zoom and do other things where even if I'm not even participating in the meeting, I can just sort of like watch and see, but I'm probably going to be in dialogue with the leader on a very regular basis. And it's probably going to be like via text, not email, right? Because email is sort of like a ways person saying this is business, right? And I think if the leaders and the people that eventually they bring me into can text me, it becomes softer, more trusted. And we just sort of like, I'm just like a team member there, but I'm not in the doing, so I'm not caught up in what they are. And then from there, it's about like, okay, like you said you wanted to do this. Well, do you think this person's the right fit for this? Or do you think you're actually doing it? What's getting in the way? Like I start asking those questions, and essentially I'm helping create space for the company to actually have some time to make clear decisions. So many people and businesses are just running the entire time that it's helpful to have something or someone to actually just pause and say like, hey, what's actually happening right now?
So for the people, we got some Star Wars nerds that listen to our show, myself included, certainly my partner. So you're really like the Obi-Wan or the Yoda type of thing.
A little bit, yeah. I would say I don't want to like call myself that or anything, but yeah, I mean, like because
that's the idea.
Yeah, truth is truth, and like wisdom is wisdom, and alignment is alignment. So I might say a bunch of stuff, but you're just going to grab the one thing that really resonates with you. So I don't want you to just listen to me, right? I want you to take what you feel like you know, and then you're like, oh shit, like whatever he just said, that makes sense to me. And then we got to like, okay, now that's there, but we got to like, it's like you plant a seed. Okay, now we got to water it. We got to put some sun on it. Like it's not just going to grow tomorrow, right? So yeah, I would say, and I think that's how we all did. Like you're talking about books, it's the same thing. Like you find someone that resonates with you, and then you find the next person, and like, but you have to be willing to like do that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great.
And then you become your own person. Then you don't need the Obi-Wan and the Yoda. Like my job is not to be there forever. Like my job is for you to be like, I'm good now. Thank you. Like go do something else.
It's interesting that you say that, because in the world of let's grind, hustle culture, let's make as much money as possible, recurring revenue business models, forever sticky products and services is what people talk about a lot. Yeah. So, once you have a coach, you forever have a coach type of thing. Yeah. You'll hear that message. And
I think that can work too, I'll say like as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But the fact that your goal is to help them move through this season of their life to the point of them being confident to stand on their own and be like, we're good now, I think says a lot about who you are and the services you're trying to provide. When I was a personal trainer way back, that was the goal. And that's what we were taught. And I'm kind of surprised. It was with Good Life, which is a money-making machine. But they're like, if you did your job well, your client should be able to leave you and not have their life change from leaving you. If they become codependent on you, you didn't do your job right. And then I really learned how potent that was in the world of addiction.
Yeah.
And I had some clients that did become codependent on me, and things went off the rail after leaving me. And that was a big slap in the face. That was a big wake-up call that I'm supposed to guide them through this phase the best that I can to get them to not need me.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a thing to do to a human.
Agreed. And listen, like until someone has actually tried to start feeling into their own inner knowing, like you don't even really know what that means. But I do believe it is something that can be worked on. And me leaving my teacher this year was part of that. It was like, wait a minute, like something's not resonating here. I don't feel like she's seeing what I'm seeing in this way. I'm not saying she's better or worse, but I need to trust this. I need to work on this part here. And our society doesn't teach that, right? It's like you have to get certain grades, you have to get a certain job. Like everything is like kind of externally validated. And so we're not actually really taught like, what do I know, right? But when you do start to know, now it's up to you, back to the fear and whatever, to push it even further. Like, oh, I know I can offer this podcast or to open this company now. It's what feels aligned here, and I'm going to push through the stuff, and I don't need someone to just like push me from behind. It's up to me now to do it.
That idea of fully and completely trusting yourself, knowing that you don't know the answer, but knowing that you're the one to find it, man, that is a place for a human to be. I don't know if I'm there yet. I have experts all around me helping me get to the next place. That's a place for a human to get to really like you are your own North Star. I don't know that many of us can say that confidently, but I imagine a beautiful place to be. Hopefully get there one day.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I can touch into it. Like, I don't think it's my like everyday living, like things come back in, fear comes back in or life or whatever. Right. But I can tell you when I have felt it,
there's nothing like it.
It's just, like everything's just so much more simple. And so like back to, you're talking about Branson, all these guys, like you can do so much more when you're not mentally efforting in order to like reduce stress or gain something. If you're just like being who you are and you're so aligned with that and you're so trusting of that, things move so much more efficiently and freely.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm the version that you described before that.
But that's what we are. Like that's what our society is, and that's where I was. It's like, but in this age for business, back to like what I feel like part of the evolution of business that I just happen to be in this next phase is everyone's talking about AI, but that's another thing to add to improve efficiency. Well, everyone's going to have that. So like what you're talking at the beginning, what is your competitive advantage? It's you, it's your people, it's humans. If everyone has AI, then what's your competitive advantage? If everyone has these systems, these marketing systems and like whatever, it's like, that's no longer a competitive advantage. It's like, I think the world wants the individual like to flourish, not just us all to become like the same thing.
I really hope that's the case because that seems like a much more productive, fulfilling, and just beautiful existence.
Yeah.
I think I remember one of my mentors early on said the potential of human is infinite. She said, and I strongly believe this, she said, no human has ever gone to the grave thinking confidently that they have maxed themselves out, all the learning, all the thing that they could do. So as far as we know, there's more growing to be done, which is a pretty cool thing.
But I would also say like when people are on their deathbed too, the number one thing is like, I wish I spent more time in my relationships. Right. So like, if we get so caught up in this like AI doing, achieving, pushing, like we're going to miss our life. And so like, I actually want to work with people who care about their lives too, not just like, why do you want your business to be like this? Is it because your father didn't love you? Well, is that still why you want to do it? Like, or is it because you feel like this thing is like your passion and you can help people and whatever, right? But like, ultimately, I think if we're not fulfilled in our lives, then it's going to affect our business somehow too. So that's something that I would sort of like help with as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. to pivot slightly, to learn a little bit more about you, Joe, just rapid fire, because those were one of the questions that we got stuck on in a great way. And that was a fantastic conversation. We want to pivot a little bit to learn a little bit more about you. So 4 or 5 things that really like just light you up. You're doing this thing or feeling this thing. What are those things?
My son, so he's 2.5 now. And, I can get emotional just thinking about him, but playing and just the life force that comes through him, it's just so beautiful, and it's just it's contagious. And so that to me is number one. This my own being, it might sound weird to people, but actually just who I am, whatever that is, in some rested state, that is something that starts to light me up versus having to chase other things. Mm-hmm. There's something in that. And with that, I would say it kind of spins into simplicity. Honestly, when I'm feeling better in my own skin, it's I'm so happy to talk to my neighbors versus being in a rush to get home to do something, right? And then paradoxically though, I'm still so interested in learning and what is possible and potential for a human. That still drives me so much that I don't think I will ever stop exploring what my own possibility is. And yet I have to balance that with these other things that are so important to me. So it's
this tug of war constantly, right?
Yeah.
I love it, man. A lot of things, similarities between how we think, what you learn, the things that you're sharing. It's fascinating to me that we live in this world with people talking this way more and more and more and more. And we're seeing the results from these people. Life, I think, is always going to be messy, but I think there's a more fulfilling and fun way to go through that mess than constantly stressed, overwhelmed, cortisol through the roof, unhappy, walk past a mirror and you cringe. There's too many people out there that feel that way. I was once one of them. But I like painting this picture. You're on stage. You got, 100, 500, 5,000, 50,000 potential clients in front of you, current clients, ex-clients, people that want to hear your message. They give you the microphone and they say you got 60 seconds to tell them what they need to know about you and what you offer.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Yeah, I haven't actually thought of that, but I would say it would be, you've started doing some work. You've done all the things in your business. You started doing some inner work. You feel like there's more. Are you willing to ask for help and trusting that there is help available so that you can ultimately connect to something more fulfilling and meaningful and deep than potentially what you even believe exists? And I'm not saying this as some Tony Robbins, whatever, I'm saying it's real. And it's real in your life right now. We can align it to a point where your business and yourself can be happier and more fulfilling, and that's going to be better for everyone.
I like how you don't disconnect life from business. This is something that felt just off to me before I learned these things and went down this road. I am who I am in sports. I am who I am with you right now, with business, it's the game I'm playing is life. There's business in it, sports, friends, love, problems, all that. And the idea is for me to navigate through them, being who I am, finding out what's true to me, where I align, how I impact in all categories. It's not like I put business hat on and I've changed in some way. And I feel like a lot of people like to compartmentalize their life that way. I'm this type of parent, this type of friend, this type of business leader or employee. It never worked for me. So I really like how you've said a number of times, business and life.
Yeah.
I look at business as my vehicle for impacting the world the best way that I can. And it is just an extension of me. Yeah. What I've learned, the best way to share that to people is by owning a marketing company. Marketing company is about sharing messages. And what I went through over these last 12, 13 years, coming to that point eventually of needing to help other people in some way happened. And I thought, how do we do that? I was already very interested in marketing and just having an effective way to spread a message that can have an impact on people. And so they are very much one and the same thing for me.
Good for you. And yeah, you can just imagine like how much energy does it take? We don't maybe consciously aren't aware, but okay, I'm going to put this hat right now on. And then I'm going to now go to my family and I'm going to turn off the business hat and now I'm going to turn on the dad hat. Like that's all energy. That's suppression of energy, or it's like trying to increase energy. Like if you're just yourself, it's much more sustainable.
Oh, I agree fully. It's unbelievable how much more difficult we make things for ourselves. I have to be this guy for Joe because I think Joe thinks he wants me to be this way. No, I don't know what you think, but I'm going through this internal dialogue, this external judgment that I'm afraid of, and I want to show up a certain way to you or somebody else. Yeah, it's got to be draining. It's got to be stressful.
Yeah, and that's why you do a great job with the show, like because
that,
you're so authentic and willing to share, and you're essentially just giving someone else the opportunity to do that. It's a chance for people to meet and find other like-minded people, and so for connections to happen.
Yeah, I love it. You said it better than I do. Thanks, man. Maybe you should have your own podcast. Actually, all kidding aside, I think you'd have a hell of an impact on people. Speaking of impact, this is one of the things I love so much about what we do. I get the privilege to ask people these questions. So I've said it a few times. This podcast, our business, is an extension of who I am. So if somebody wants to find out who I am, they can just look at these things and they'll start to get an idea. But those things behind me have helped mold me into who I am. A lot of this here, but a lot of them have come from conversations with people like yourself. I'm very lucky to have some great mentors in my life. I'm 38 now. They started coming into my life around 23. Certainly made a lot of mistakes while they were there, but I think I made much less mistakes because they were there. And one of the first things that really gave me that gut punch and kind of wake up to what I'm doing is a mentor around 23, 24. She said, do you ever consider your impact as a human being? I'm like, girls, parties, fast cars, money, sports. No, I don't think of my impact. I'm wrapped up in the selfishness in a big, big way. That's who I was around, 2023. And she said, well, you're born, you will die one day, and you have no idea when that day could come. It could be 5 minutes from now. It could be 50 years from now. The middle is the impact of your life. And that will determine in a big way how you feel about yourself. And that kind of just gave me the shot that I needed at that time. So ever since then, impact has been, front and center of my mind. And that's what this is. That's what all those are behind me, the show. So I really consider, what is the ripple effect of my life being on this planet now, rather than I think a lot of us think of legacy posthumously. I've died. What is life going to be like after I've died? It's like, well, I'm not even going to be here. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about my legacy. I won't be here, but I can see what's happening right now. And it's probably the most interesting question that I get the privilege to ask people. So I'd love to ask you, Joe, although we've heard a good chunk of it. If we can dive a little bit deeper, like what would you actually like your impact to be while you're here?
So I could tell you firstly that if you had asked me this a few years ago, I would have told you that I wanted to be big and known and help as many people as possible. But I believe that was coming from that part of me that didn't feel good enough or whole and like it needs to achieve something to get somewhere. And so I think that's great. And I don't discount that can't happen for people. And who knows if I start putting, but I think the greatest impact I can have is by being my truest self and then somehow sharing that with others. Right. And so however far that goes, I don't even necessarily care. But if I'm not being myself, then what is the point of the dash here anyways? So it's like actually being myself. And I truly believe when someone has done the hero's journey, et cetera, then it starts to want to truly go out. Like you're almost like a cleaner vessel to help make an impact if you are actually like happy and wanting to be who you are. So I don't know what that impact is. And I do feel that somehow I need to continue to cultivate sort of this like purity of myself while also still going out in the world. right? And that's where I'm sort of at that point right now, where it's like, all right, let's go. Like, so we'll see.
Man, I wish we had another 2-3 hours, because I would ask you, how do we do that? Unfortunately, we only have a few minutes left, but that it seems like your impact is hinged on, what's the word I want to use? On self, on you. It starts.
Yeah, I'd say it's like being versus doing.
Yeah. Damn. Well, Joe, fascinating conversation. Really, I really hope people listen to this. Before we go, because I would love to just pick your brain about this topic.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more.
Yeah. Before we go, I just want to give them the audience a couple of practices. Like when they're saying that internal knowing, some may know what that is and be on that road, some may not know. But how do we start doing something, even a small thing? What are some things that really move the needle to start getting people to feel this way? And like ultimately, you seem like a person that really appreciates yourself, loves your life, loves yourself, is grateful for your life, and you have this contentment around you. I don't know, happiness is defined by a lot of different people, different ways, but someone who's really enjoying their life. And I think that's a big goal for me, is to enjoy it while I'm here. How do we do that? So do you have any practices for people, any tips for people to get started?
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, as you can imagine, I've done them all. I've done a lot of them anyways.
Sure.
I definitely feel that some sort of self check-in on a daily basis is beneficial for anyone. And so that could be in the morning or whenever you have time, where ideally you probably sit with a pen and paper and you're like, what is going on? Like, what am I feeling? Or there's like a Rumi quote, like about guests coming into the house. Like, what is the weather condition of my being right now? Because then you can start to be more aware. Like, am I stressed? Am I sad? Am I happy? And like, it may seem hard at first, but you're really just trying to see like, what is going on here with me right now? And I think that can do a lot for people, because then from there, what I might just add is like, if you are having a hard time, try to learn to let that be okay and have some compassion for yourself there. And that's like easier said than done, but like, I'm just learning this lesson now. Like, realistically, we're humans and we're supposed to have the bad feelings too. It's all good. Like, so, because I think so much of our energy goes to moving away from that. If we can just like accept it and like let it be there, it will dissolve much quicker. So I think a personal check-in, and then if you have another person that you can talk to, I think that's always key. Like, for like 3 years, my best friend and I talked on like every Monday night about all the things we were learning, and we were just sharing, and we'd share personal stuff. Some weeks it would be like, scrapped our list. Let's just talk about what's happening in your relationship right now. But if you can like make a commitment to doing that with someone else, I think that's huge as well.
Beautiful. I love it, man. Personal check-in, weather forecasts of your current condition right now. That's, for me, that's, I like to meditate, mindfulness, those types of things. And that's just what that is. I've done a fair bit of writing, but it seems to come and go, whereas that mindfulness practice seems to stay. But Joe, fascinating conversation, man. I really hope people start hearing these messages more and more, knowing that you don't have to wake up filled with anxiety every morning and move about from one stressful moment to the next. You can handle greater pressures in this type of flow state, more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that a lot of that stress is how externally is how we interpret it and how we feel about ourselves.
Exactly.
That some of the people I admire move through much bigger problems than me with a smile on their face, and they're just kicking butt at life. And they're like, yeah, it's just another thing I'm going to do, but I'm good with me. And if this all falls apart right now, I'm still good with me. These people exist. I think this stuff is real. And I hope these people really hear what they have to say from you. What's the best way to get a hold of you if people want to reach out?
Yeah, they can reach out. I have a website. I think it's joebubel.com. I'm going to be changing it to focus on this business stuff more, but it's still sort of individual. But yeah, I would say you can check me out there. You can check out my LinkedIn as well. But Joe Bubel, JOEBUBEL.com. And there's even a spot to book like a 30-minute session with me if you just want to like see if something makes sense to work. And one thing I will say is like, while I do feel like what I have to offer can have impact at a high level, I also really value helping at a local community level, like what you're doing. And so, like, for example, I've talked to the mayor in Springwater, and like I more actively participate in local voting than I do like federal voting. Like, so I actually believe if we start making changes at more of the smaller scale, like I want to help at the not smaller, the closer scale, then I think we don't need to do much more.
Start with the home, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating conversation, man. Really appreciate it. That was kind of that. Sometimes I come stressed into these conversations, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I know it's a good one when I've left and I feel like I kind of just went to the spa kind of thing. Like everything, shoulders go from here to here. And I feel very relaxed. So thank you for giving me that and coming on the show. I hope a good portion of the audience feels the same way. Shoulders down. Until we talk again, man, you have a great day.
Thanks, Jeff. You too, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com or call 705-413-3775.